Lesson 7.6 is on percent of change. So our goals is to find the percent of change and then to recognize if it's an increase or a decrease. So number one says, I guess this is just a couple warm-up problems. Pause it, write them down, try them, and then we'll do them together. So number one season, the Miami Dolphins had 10 wins. This was 62.5% of the games the team played. How many games did they play? So here we're just figuring out the total amount of games they played, and we know that part of them was 10. So part over whole equals percent over 100, right? We're given enough information to use that percent proportion. So we know the part is 10. We don't know the whole. We know the percent is 62.5 over 100. Okay, I can cross multiply here, and I get 62.5x equals 1,000. Divide each side by 62.5. And we get 16. So 16 games they played total. Tammy bought a laptop for $846.94, including tax. The laptop had a price of $799. What percent sales tax did she pay? So remember, to figure out that percent of sales tax, we take change over original or difference over original. I'm going to use the shapes here to model how to use them. So we know that the total was $846.94. So I'm going to plug that in here. 94 cents. We know that the original laptop was $799. So I'm going to plug that in for both originals. And then my goal is to figure out the percent of sales tax. So X over 100. Well, to figure out the triangle here, that change or that difference, I'm going to take 846.94 and I'm going to subtract $799. And that's going to give me that difference there of $47.94. So I can plug that into both triangles. And then from there, I can cross multiply. So I'm going to take 799 times x, which is 799x, equals $47.94 times 100, 4,794. Divide both sides by 799. And we get x equals 6. So it says what percent sales tax? So she paid 6% in tax. So some vocab for percent of change. Increase means get bigger. Decrease gets smaller. Percent of change, here's the proportion we're going to use. Amount of increase over amount of original. So that change over original. And then other names for percent of change would be percent of increase, percent of decrease, percent of discount, percent of markup. Okay, some more vocab. The original price is the amount the store pays for the item. So obviously they're not going to pay $15 for a shirt and sell it for $15 because they have to make money. So they're going to sell it for more, which is the selling price. So that's the original price that they paid plus the markup. And the markup is the increase that the store adds on so that they can make a profit. So if they buy a shirt for $15, if it costs them $15, maybe they're going to sell it for $30 so that they can make a profit. Okay, discount is the decrease in the original price. So if there's a discount on something, obviously you're going to get it for cheaper. The selling price is the original plus the markup, and this would be good to have down. And then the sale price is the selling price minus the discount. So let's practice. This problem says the International Balloon Fiesta takes place every year in Albuquerque, New Mexico. In 1999, 903 balloons participated. In 2000, 1,019 balloons participated. What is the percent of change? Make sure you indicate if it's an increase or a decrease. So in 1999, there was 903. And then in 2000, there was 1,019. So this would be an increase, right? It's going up. And then remember, to find the percent of change, we take the amount of increase over the amount of original. And I'm going to find that by using this diagram here with my shapes. So I know my original was 903 balloons. So I'm going to plug that in for my originals. I know that my new amount is 1,019 balloons. And I know my goal here is to find the percent of change. So X over 100. Well, to figure out what that change or that increase is, I'm going to take 1,119 minus 903, and I get 116, which means that there was 116 new balloons. So I'm going to put that over my change. And then once I get there, I can cross multiply, use cross products. So 116 times 100 would be 11,600 equals 903x. Divide both sides by 903. And we get x equals, and we'll round to the nearest tenth of a percent for this one. So it would be 12.8%. And we said it's an increase, so a 12.8% increase. If you were to just take the increase over the original, so 116 over 903, you would get a decimal, and then you would just have to convert that to a percent. Okay, so in this one, it says in 1990, people in the United States spent about $2.5 billion on gym shoes. In 2000, people in the US spent about $1.9 billion on gym shoes. What's the percent of change? Okay, so first of all, we're going from 2.5 to 1.9 billion. So this is going to be a decrease. And then to find that percent of change, we can do that amount of change. So the decrease over the original. And to do that, I'm going to use my shapes. So I know my original was 2.5 billion. Plug that in for both my originals. I know the new was 1.9. And then I know we're looking for that percent of change, so x over 100. Well, here we have a decrease, so I'm going to do 2.5 minus what is 1.9. So 2.5 minus 1.9 is 0.6. So 0.6 billion. So I'm going to plug that in for my change. And I'm going to show you here if you do decrease over original or change over original. So if we were to just plug in 0.6 over 2.5, and we do that in our calculator, we get 24 hundredths. Well, to change that to a percent, we move the decimal 2 to the right, and it would be 24%. Okay, we could also just cross multiply here so we don't have to convert. And we get 600 equals 2.5x. Divide both sides by 2.5. And we get, oops, sorry, this should be 60. I was going to say that doesn't seem right. 60 divided by 2.5, and we get 24%. So you get the same answer either way. Okay, so that amount of change over the original is the percent of change. This problem is asking us to find the percent of change. So since we're finding that percent, we know that we're looking for x over 100. That's our ratio value. Here it says from 75 pounds to 35 pounds. Since we have from 75, that's our original. That's that starting point. So our original is 75. And then to 35, meaning that 35 is the new weight. We don't know the change. And again, our goal is to figure out that unknown percent. So in order to find the change, what I'm going to do is I'm going to solve for this bottom part and figure out what the triangle is. I know that 75 minus 40 is 35. So I know that my triangle is 40. So my change represents 40. Now that I've done that, I can cross multiply. 75 times x is 75x, and set that equal to 40 times 100, which is 4,000. Now to solve for x, I'm going to divide both sides by what's in front of the variable. So divide both sides by 75, and I'm left with x equals 53.3 repeating percent. So it decreased 53.3 repeating percent. The next problem says we're going to use the percent of change. It says there were 80 spectators at the first baseball game of a season. The number of spectators increased by 75% from the first game to the last game of the season. How many spectators were at the last game? So we know that 80 were at the original. That's the starting point. We know that there was a 75% increase, so we're going to write that as 75 over 100. We know we're trying to figure out the new total. How many people were at that last baseball game? It's an increase, so I know that I'm going to add here 80 plus the amount increase equals the new. So my triangle is going to be my unknown. In order to solve for the triangle first, before I can get to x, I'm going to cross multiply at the top here. 100 times question mark is 100 question mark. And I'm going to set that equal to 80 times 75, which is 6,000. Divide both sides by 100. And I get that my question mark equals 60. So what that 60 means is that there were 60 more people at the last game. So that's going to be the change. And then since it's an increase, I'm adding the original plus the change, so 80 plus 60. And that leaves me with 140 people as my new. The next problem says when a video game console is released for sale, the original price is $190. Okay, so we already know the original is $190. After 18 months, the price is lowered by 20%. I'm given a percent, so I'm going to write that as 20% over 100. And since I have that keyword lowered, I know that my original price is going to go down. So original minus the change is going to give me the new. My change, that difference there, is going to be my question mark. So in order to solve for x, I need to first cross multiply to solve for my question mark. 100 times question mark is 100 question mark. Set that equal to 190 times 20, which is 3,800. Divide both sides by 100. And we get that the question mark equals 38. So that 38 represents that the price was lowered by $38. So I'm going to take my original price of $190 and I'm going to subtract that discount of $38 and I get $152. The next one says find the selling price if a store pays $68 for a portable DVD player and the markup is 35%. So the selling price is what the store pays plus the markup. So the store pays $68, which is the original amount, but they're going to charge us more than that $68. Otherwise, they wouldn't be making any money. So we're trying to find that new price. And we know they mark it up by 35%, so 35 over 100. And since it's a markup, we're going to add to the original price. That means that our change is our question mark. So in order to solve for x, we're first going to solve for our question mark. 100 times question mark is 100 question mark. And set that equal to 68 times 35. And I get an answer of 2,380. Divide both sides by 100. And I get that the question mark is $23.80. So that means the store is going to charge us an additional $23.80 so that they can make a profit. So I add $23.80 plus that original of 68, and I get a total of $91.80. The next problem here says the price of gas yesterday was $2.15 per gallon. Today it was $2.35 per gallon. What is the percent of change? So I'm finding the percent of change, so x over 100. Yesterday would be the original amount, so that's $2.15. And today is the new amount, so that's $2.35. Then our change is our unknown. And before we can cross multiply, we don't have enough information on the top, so we have to start with this bottom here and solve for the question mark that way. So I'm going to take the new 235 and subtract the original 215, and I get a 20 cents difference. So the change is 20 cents. And now I have enough information on the top to cross multiply. 215 times x is 215x. Set that equal to 20 cents times 100, which is 20. And divide both sides by 215. That leaves me with x equals about 9.3% increase.